I believe we've got the potential for 10 million plus ounces. And there are some analysts which have said there's actually higher than that. So I think it's there. And I'm very conservative on saying that. If I couldn't put together a drill plan where I can show you on a section where I have information, I wouldn't say that.
Hello and welcome to the Gold Newsletter channel. Hello and welcome to the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. We're here sitting on the floor of the Convention Center in downtown Vancouver. I'm joined by Tara Christie, President and CEO of Banyan Gold. Tara, it's always great to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Great to see you as well.
Yeah, how are things? How'd the year start off?
Well, I think it's starting out pretty great. We've had news flow. Gold price is pretty fabulous. Lots of interest here. We've
busy.
had full talks both at the Metal Investor Forum here and at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, and a busy few days at Roundup too. So you're seeing some renewed interest, even if we haven't seen the juniors really get the love yet.
Yeah, we'll have to talk volumes at some point as well. They haven't really come back yet. But there's interest. This is the busiest I've seen this conference be in a long time.
I agree, absolutely.
So,
and there's real investors, not just service and supply people and students.
And a lot of new investors. So we got to give hat tip to Jay. He's managed to bring out a lot of new investors. So that's fantastic. Tara, we got to talk Banyan, of course. Let's start with a bit of a recap. We're still early January or January 20th, so we're still allowed to do that. Let's recap 2024 a little bit. You had a bit of a slower second half of the year.
Yep.
But give us a bit of a Cliff Note summary of 2024 for Banyan.
Well, 2024 had some challenges early on. We did that financing in June, and then of course there was the incident down the road from us, which caused a bit of an overhang. Plus we had forest fires, and that delayed our drilling, at which we used that opportunistically to really spend time focusing on our geological model and where we were going to drill. We ramped it up in August, September, though, up to 3 drills. We achieved our full 21,000 meters that we wanted to drill. We didn't finish shipping the last sample off site till November 27th, so hence why we haven't got all our results back yet. We were pretty late by the time we cut all the core and logged it, and we spent a lot of time really logging the core well to make sure that, to put into that new geological model, which we're going to have with our resource this year. So pretty happy technically. I actually say we had our best technical year ever in terms of the quality of geology, the technical work that we were doing on the metallurgy, the scoping study and optimization work that we were doing, getting ready for 2025. So going into 2025, our team is firing on all cylinders. We've got more ammunition, as you'd call it, than we've ever had. We put out a few results, as you know, from
We'll talk about those in a minute, yeah.
With more to come. I'm happy with how 2024 ended up. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of news flow at the end in Q3 and Q4, but we didn't see anybody in the market caring about it anyway, so I think we actually worked out opportunistically.
Yeah, no, I think it worked out well. And you just literally dumped 45 drill holes on us last week in 2 releases within 3 days. I think we can batch them together, right? 46 holes in one or 45 holes in one release is a bit much. But let's bunch them together, because there were a lot of high-grade results in there as well. Run us a bit through the highlights of those results, and how excited are you about those?
Yeah, so we batched them by areas, because what we really want to do is show that there are specific zones within this, and in fact maybe one larger area within the whole center of power line where we have this consistent higher grade. And the individual holes aren't necessarily specifically important, but when you look at long intervals of 1 gram, even up to 2.13 grams, and lots above the average grade of the deposit for long intervals, that's ultimately going to pull up the grade. And what we wanted to get was roughly a mineable 2 million ounces of a gram, which, when you do your first mining, you pick a cutoff grade, and if there's material that's ore, but it's not above your cut, you stockpile it, right? That's kind of so we really wanted to set ourselves up for our PA with what we drilled, and we knew that by increasing the confidence in our geological model, that would bring interest from those that said, well, it's still an inferred resource. How do we know how this gold? Your geological model needs more constraints. So we did that. We're going to have an updated resource here in Q2 with that, and I think that's going to be exciting. And then we're funded for drilling, and we'll have drill targets. We've identified both proximal drill targets right around airstrip and power line. We can always drill at depth to show that this is really deep roots. We won't put a lot of holes because they won't end up in a resource or in a mine plan, but they show that once this thing's mining, there's likely 30, 40 years of mining there.
Yeah, you got to show that cherry on the ice cream sundae, right?
You got to show that. And then,
at
of course,
in the glass.
And then we have the distal targets, which shows that there's a lot more potential on our property. So that'll be this year's plan. We haven't refined it yet. We're getting a few expert eyes on that look at the ZTEM and the 3D geophysics and all our geochem and the work that we've been doing on isograbs and mineralogy and all the rest of it. Putting that all together, because we got time on that. And then fourth quarter, we'll have our PEA, and then we'll have drill results through the fall and into 2026. So, we're thinking ahead. And the nice thing is we've got the cash to be able to put our head down, really add value, and focus on getting re-rated. And we know those overhangs are still there. I met with the Premier yesterday. He came by our booth. We talked about, Banyan's project being a mill project. I talked to the chief last night and the lands officer briefly. We've had conversations with them over the fall. So, I think those political things are important. Our share block issue will resolve here hopefully very soon, and I think all of that's going to set us up to re-rate along with our news flow and some what I think are going to be very compelling economics in our PA.
I was a bit surprised to see the Premier here, like in a positive way. Like we're a little quiet like in the last 6 months, but now he's out here, he's welcoming investors at the conference, so that's a very positive signal for the Yukon.
Oh, absolutely. And the Yukon, will have an election coming up fairly soon, so that also will, potentially bring some change into the Yukon as well.
You talked about the overhang. Let's clearly define it. Like Victoria Gold owned quite a bit of stock. Like that's the overhang you're talking about. How many shares are we talking about? Like what do you
11%,
think? What's
34.
The ideal outcome for you?
Oh, put that into hands of one of these people or a person or group, which is really going to be a strong supporter of the stock. And sometimes you get a major strategic investor and that alone can move your stock. So I won't be selling it, of course, because the receiver has told publicly that they are going to hire a broker to do that or an advisor, and they've solicited proposals for that. So I expect we'll be told it one day, and I have a very long list of people that have expressed, please give my name. I want to know, I want to be on that list for some of that stock. And I think once that clears, and there's no more cheap stock available, I think it'll be a good opportunity for us.
No, fantastic.
$5 an ounce. You look at Sitka and Snowline, they're at $100 and $113 per ounce. So we've got a long way to re-rate. And once people see that we're clear of that encumbrance,
is there a rough timeline? It's difficult to judge, obviously, but have they given you any sort of timeline?
No, they work on their own timeline, and they have a lot of boxes they need to check in terms of process. So,
when you say they go for tender, like
I would say
like
first quarter here.
Yeah.
I think it would actually be in their best interest to do it sooner rather than later.
Okay, let's talk a bit more about the project itself. Like, have you defined the boundaries of the mineralized area? No. Okay, I haven't heard you say it yet.
No, actually, and the 3D geophysics really shows lots of extension. And remember, airstrip, this is the first year we drilled on it since 2020, and we can clearly see that. And there's a little pod of resource way off to the east, and we know it can go off to the west. So lots of room to expand that. And remember, it was higher grade overall, 0.75 versus 0.63 being kind of the overall grade of power line. So lots of room to expand it. Power line, that whole area off to the east isn't connected simply because we haven't drilled it. We know there's area to the south, and we know that power line likely abuts right up to airstrip. So there's that whole gap that's seen on the map between the two, which just needs drill holes.
You've always been open about your guidance for resource potential.
Yep.
What's your guidance now?
Oh, I believe we've got the potential for 10 million plus ounces. And there are some analysts which have said there's actually higher than that. So I think it's there, and I'm very conservative in saying that. If I couldn't put together a drill plan where I can show you on a section where I have information, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah. Okay, no, sounds fantastic. You've always delivered. Like you've always given us sort of 5, 7, and you've always delivered bang on those numbers. So that's why I'm asking.
I think that's the next milestones. When you have a project like this with roads, power, 7 million ounces. We'll have a PEA, which gives you a snapshot of the economics of that resource. And then we can demonstrate with our drilling this year that it's got bigger potential to be 10 million plus, because there are some companies that in these majors who haven't replaced their reserves and resources who are going to go, holy smokes, that is big enough that even if I don't build it, that puts some ounces on my books, and our ounces are near-term ounces. Because we have all the background data, you could actually permit this and build it in a much shorter timeline than just about any other project in the Yukon. We've got roads and infrastructure already on the property. That's a huge advantage. So I think that we're going to be and the plan is to make this too compelling of a story that we can't be ignored.
Yeah. Let's talk 2025 real quick. You said you have enough cash. What is enough? Like, what's the
amount?
amount?
We started this year with 11 million, and remember, we anticipate revenue in addition to that. Most of the costs of our PEA have already been baked in the scoping study work that we've done. Our resource update is not an expensive enterprise. So most of the cash will actually go into our drill program, and then, those 2 studies. So we're taking our time to announce the program that we're going to do, because we have so many options. We need to weigh the pros and cons of the various options of what we could do and see what the market's going to appreciate. Probably start drilling May or June, have a resource update in Q2, and then that Q4 PEA, and then results. So, probably 10,000 meters, I would say. We might get a little bit more, a little bit less. We're going to be conservative to make sure that we keep Treasury, where we've got both money for G&A as well as some money to do some stuff into 2025 while we wait for things to clear, because I'm not going to finance at 18, 20 cents. And
Please don't.
We have so much value that we can add.
Yeah. No, fantastic. How many holes are pending still? What can we expect in the near term?
Oh, roughly, I think another 40 or some odd holes, around that number.
So it's like 2 releases done.
Yeah, 2, yep.
No, fantastic, awesome. Tara, exciting year ahead. Lots happening. I'm still a shareholder, so obviously biased. I bought way too expensive. I bought at 48 cents. I managed to top ticket. I say it every time, but I'm happy. I know where this is going, so I'll sit it out. I should average down actually. So I might be looking into that. So Tara, really appreciate you stopping by here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks so much for your time.
Don't worry. 48 cents, look at what, if we re-rate it to $100 an ounce, where would we be for share price? So I'm a big believer.
Crossed.
I have lots of options at 45 cents, and I intend to make money from them. So
let's wake this market up.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Tara, thank you so much for stopping by. All the best for 2025, and everybody else. Thank you so much for tuning in here to the Gold Newsletter from the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. My name is Kai Hoffman, and I'm the host of this channel, together with our good friend Brian London. If you haven't done so, hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and we'll be back with lots more here from Vancouver. Thank you so much.